Okay. Hello, thanks for coming on board. I'm meteorologist Bill Steffen, and we are talking about the Northern Lights, also called the Aurora Borealis, which have been out 2 nights in a row now here. Let's take a look right now at the KP index. That's a measure that we use to kind of see if we're going to see the Northern Lights or not. Normally, it's down in that green area around 1 to 3 or so, but look what happened here Tuesday night. That KP index shot up all the way up to around 9. And normally, the what we go here is about a 5 on the KP index, means that we could probably see a little bit of an aurora looking off to the north, a little bit of a green glow above the horizon. And then progressively, the Northern Lights get better as that number increases. And we go up to 8.75 or so, and that is a great show. And something kind of interesting, of course, we were pretty cloudy here over much of the area, though they did manage to see the aurora Tuesday night down toward the Indiana border. We're speculating as to whether the Northern Lights would appear again here Wednesday night. And lo and behold, we thought they would, and they have. But if you look at the numbers, we're not quite up to where we were here Tuesday night. So while we're getting a pretty good show tonight, and we've had some great pictures, I'll share some with you here. The aurora display was slightly better on Tuesday when many of us didn't have the opportunity to see it. All right, let's move on and talk about weather here for a little bit, and then we'll show you the aurora slides here. We're going to start out with a look at some high temperatures here on Wednesday, and it was warmest at the beaches. The clouds cleared from west to east, so the beach saw the sun first. And you can see readings were up into the low 50s there. It also made 50 at Alma and Ionia. And 49 Battle Creek, Kalamazoo, Grand Rapids stopping at 48. That was a couple degrees warmer than I forecast. Gaylord and Grayling were in even 40, and one of the coldest places I could find was Eagle, Alaska, where not the low temperature, but the high temperature was 3 degrees below zero. Pretty cold up there. All right, let's move on here and take a look at some of the, excuse me a second here, and take a look at some of the, let's see, what's coming up next here. If we can hit the button here and go to the next slide. Oh yeah, peak winds. 42 miles an hour, South Haven Beach was the fastest wind, and also in Grand Rapids, we had a gust of 42. Blew all my leaves to the back fence where I should be easier to pick them up, tell you the truth. Most everybody had gusts over 35 miles an hour, so it was a windy day, and it was the second windy day in a row. Today will be breezy, but not as windy as it was yesterday. All right, our sunrise and sunset time, daylight continuing to shrink across the area. It's 5:20, that should be for the sunset. Sunrise at 7:32. 9 hours and 48 minutes of daylight is what we see today. Average high temperature dips another one to 48. By the end of the month, that'll be down around 40 or 41. Record high temperature, 79 degrees, set in 1989. That was the year when it got really cold around Christmas. And it was really warm in early November that year, so it really flip-flopped. Record low temperature, 10. Boy, that would have been cold in 1986. And that picture right there shows what the big red lighthouse in Holland looked like. You can see some of those puffy little cumulus clouds there in the background. The lake was pretty active there with a pretty strong west wind during the day, west to northwest wind. Okay, the lake forecast here calls for west winds, 15 to 22 knots. Waves could increase to as high as 4 to 8 feet. Water temperature is still in the mid-40s, both inland lakes and at Lake Michigan. And you can see the picture there from Holland State Park showing some pretty big waves out there. The first picture I showed, which we're not going to go back to, had, I believe, 5 in the distance. You couldn't really see them, but I counted 5 kiteboarders that were out enjoying the big waves out there. Okay, let's go on and take a look at some Florida low temperatures. You know, it can get really cold in Florida sometimes in January, but boy, they don't see readings like this very often in November. These were all record low temperatures for the date. Ocala at 28, Gainesville 29, Jacksonville 30, Down in the mid part of the state, temperatures were anywhere from the mid 30s to low 40s, 36 at Winter Haven. Tampa stopped at 38. Orlando was a couple degrees warmer at 42, but they had a wind, and a wind plus 42 at Disney World is a pretty cool day. And Naples stopping at 44 degrees. Well, and there's the picture that shows kiteboarders over there. There's another picture of those over in Muskegon. They're pretty small there, and they were on the leeward side of the breakwater there. So that being the case, it was just a little bit calmer out there. They can still have a good time, but staying out of those 6-8 footers there. Okay, let's go on and talk about snowfall across the country. There's going to be snowfall in the mountains of the Cascades in Washington, Glacier National Park. A lot of rain in California, and that's where it's going to snow in the higher elevations there from just south of Reno down to north of Los Angeles. And there's still some snow going on in the Adirondacks, the Green and White Mountains of Vermont and New Hampshire, and up into Maine. But not for us. I don't see any snow in our forecast here for the next week. So you can kind of plan on that. Okay, we have one small tropical storm, and this should pretty much dissipate here during the day today. This is called Feng Wong, and it's over Taiwan, and you can see the brighter white clouds there. They're getting a rainy, windy day there, but peak winds are only around 40 miles an hour, so this is not a storm that's going to cause a lot of destruction. And it will slither northeast out into the open ocean and totally dissipate. That's the only one going on anywhere in the world right now. It's very calm thunderstorm-wise. By the way, any thunderstorms that occur today will occur along the California coast. It's the only state that's forecast to have a chance of a thundershower today is California. You don't see that too often. All right, let's move on here, see what else we got. Headlines, mostly sunny today, and I think we can get away with mostly sunny on Friday, though it may become partly cloudy in the afternoon. Chance of a shower comes Saturday, mainly in the afternoon and Saturday night. I think we're dry Sunday afternoon and Monday. Then there'll be a chance of a shower again on Tuesday, and I'm pretty sure all of that is going to come to fruition here. So you can plan on that. Taking a look at today's weather forecast, should be a beautiful sunny day here with temperatures pretty similar to yesterday, up around 50 in the afternoon, 35 on the low in the early morning with clear skies. The moon is a little inside of half moon, so we're probably what you could call a thick crescent right now. That rises in the early morning. Humidity 55% in the afternoon. Winds will be west inland at 10 to 20 miles an hour, just a touch windier than that at Lake Michigan. Now, high temperatures today. We got a lot of green on the map because it's seeing temperatures here in around 50 degrees or so. 51 for South Haven today, 56 if you're heading to Chicago, 49 Detroit, up north 42 at Gaylord, some temperatures in the UP in the 40s. And then we move ahead to Friday, and temperatures are a little bit warmer. And if you look at Friday's map from Chicago west, temperatures here could easily reach at least the low 60s. Rockford, Illinois, kind of on the edge of the map there, is expecting a high of 63. It will be a touch cooler off to the east, the wind coming off Lake Huron in places there. And off to the north, a little cooler, 47 Gaylord. But here in Grand Rapids, we should be mid-50s with partly to mostly sunny skies. So Friday looks like a nice day. 5-day forecast looks like this. We'll start out with some sunshine today. We'll call it partly to mostly sunny Friday. More clouds than not on Saturday with about a 50-50 chance of a light shower. Not a heavy rain by any means, probably less than a quarter of an inch if you saw rain at all. Will be partly cloudy on Sunday by afternoon. Could be overcast early in the day. And then partly cloudy during the day on Monday. We will turn cooler, but those temperatures are still close to average here for this time of year. And the 8 to 14 day outlook, which we show you pretty much every day, again calls for temperatures here to be warmer than average. You can see the warmth throughout the southern United States, so it's going to be temperatures up in the 70s. Florida recovers pretty quickly after their temperatures in the 20s and 30s. They're going to be seeing high temperatures back up into the mid to upper 70s, so a good deal for them. We're above average here, and where it's cold is out, it's not cold in Phoenix or anything, but temperatures will be below average throughout much of the west, from the Rockies west to the Pacific Ocean. And then in terms of rainfall across the area, kind of a wet pattern, especially for the southern United States. But even up here in Michigan, as we approach Thanksgiving, there'll be some periods of rain showers. Don't see a lot of snow coming our way here between now and about the 25th or so. But I think there will be a trend toward colder weather by the time we leave the month of November. Okay, we got some pictures to share with you here. Aurora pictures. Let's start out and see where we go here. We start out at Sutton's Bay. That's a great place to be because you got all the lakes around there. This is submitted by Brian Johnson. This is a picture from Joe Howard. Boy, aren't those colors great? When you get a really amazing display of the Northern Lights, you get the red color, the sheets, the curtains, and even some pulsating going back and forth, and that's what you'd be seeing. They were lucky to get the clear skies up there in Sutton's Bay and enjoy the view. All right, let's go on to our next slide here. This is from Cornell, which is also up in the UP, not too far away from Escanaba. Let's take a look at what we have here. This is a picture coming in from Joy Moore. And look at the purple color there. Boy, isn't that cool? And you can see a star or two poking through. Kind of an interesting contrast with the conifer trees there, the needles on, and the deciduous trees where the leaves are already fallen off. We might have another picture from up there. Let's take a look at the next one here. That's from Joy. And this is kind of neat. It shows the glow of the aurora there, but you can also see some of the stars. If you look center, there's 3 stars that are right in a row, and that's Orion's belt. That's the constellation Orion. Becomes a little bit more prominent here in Michigan during the winter time. And what else we got? There's another one from Joy Moore. And again, the same thing. She's gotten a little closer here, but looking up, you can see that wonderful purplish color here. The Northern Lights are actually caused by the sun. The sun sends out what we call a coronal mass ejection, which is a stream of charged particles. And as those get near the Earth, and by the way, this is a rare thing when one of these is aimed toward the Earth and gets into the Earth's magnetic field, it causes the solar wind to kind of excite the atoms of the upper atmosphere. This is probably about 60 miles up above the surface of the Earth, so it's pretty high up. All right, let's go on to the next one here, see what we see. This again from Joy, and look at how it gets brighter as you get down toward the horizon there. A few little wisps there, those are clouds, and kind of a partly cloudy sky here, and you can see one prominent star up top. Pretty picture. Look at all those. If purple is your color, you got just about every shade of purple there that you want to see. All right, let's go on to the next one, see where we're going next. We're going to Muskegon, and let's take a look at our picture from Muskegon. And I believe this is John Scully, if I'm not mistaken, that gives us our next picture here. That also shows the Northern Lights. If we can go on to the next picture, please. We'll be able to show you. There it is, right there. We've got the Northern Lights in the distance, and I know some people that are on the south end of a lake, are looking north. You can see some of the lights pretty far away, but you get some of those areas away from many of the lights, and it really shows up quite well. Thanks to John for all the pictures that he sends us on almost a daily basis. Let's go on to the next one here and see where we're going. Ooh, look at that. That's pretty. It must be from, is that from John too, maybe, I would think. Pretty picture with the varying shades of red and maroon, pink, and the clouds there in the distance. Very pretty shot. All right, next one, and we'll see what we got here coming up. Okay, we're done with the Aurora pictures for now. The Vietnam Memorial, dedicated on November 13th, 1982. 2.7 million Americans served in Vietnam, and that's a lot of people. Memorial has names of 58,000 who died or are missing in action. I remember going through that period, and there was a lot of turmoil, a lot of unrest on college campuses. I was up at the University of Wisconsin. They had a draft lottery at the time, and I had number 357, so I was not going to be called. My roommate at the time wound up in the National Guard in Wisconsin. So it was an interesting time. All right, let's go on to the next slide that we have here. Oh, promoting my vacation coming up. This is next. This is 11 days. It's next April. Airfare is included. This is from Holiday Vacations. We will be starting out in London and then going to Normandy and then to Paris. There are meals included, not all of the meals, but many of the meals are included. Airfare is included. I've done 3 trips already. This will be my 4th one with Holiday Vacations, and you may have seen the spots we're running on TV, but we hope to fill this up and enjoy the tour. By the time we get into April, temperatures are starting to warm up in Europe, and I'll be able to tour Normandy, and they have people lined up to speak to the group that really know a lot about the history of World War II. My father, my uncle served in World War II, and my mother spent a good deal of time during the war singing and playing piano for the USO, mostly in the Chicago area, Great Lakes, Fort Sheridan, and those areas. There's the trip for you. We start in London, go to Portsmouth, take a ferry across the channel there, and wind up looking at the beaches, Utah Beach, Normandy. See the cemetery there. You can see there's a lot of stuff on the list there that we'll be able to see. And then once we're done there, we spend 3 nights in Paris, so we can check out the. We'll get an eyeful of Paris. How's that? So it should be fun. And 15 meals are included, all accommodations. Should be a very pleasant trip. And then from Paris, we head back to Grand Rapids. And again, that's mid to late April. Check it out at holidayvacations.com. Speaking of travel, here's our trip to Alaska. This is when Michelle and I went to Alaska, just the 2 of us. And we have a picture that I've shown before, I believe, of me kind of holding my hands out and taking a look at the snow that's there. There I am. We were up high enough there where we were actually seeing some snow on the mountains. You can see some of the cruise ships down there in the channel that's there in the Sound. There's we had those clouds with us for the 3 days we were there. I don't think we saw a minute's worth of sunshine, and it rained a lot, but that was an awesome coat that I had on. It was repelled the rain. I put a hat on, and we had a good time walking in the rain and seeing that. But we hiked up. You can take a tram up partway, and then we hiked up to where a priest put a flag many years ago, back in, I believe, the 1800s. So it was kind of an amazing trip for us. But really enjoyed the 2 trips to Alaska we took, one on our own and one with Holiday Vacations. We went to different places. Okay, let's go on to the next one here, and that is another picture from our time in Juneau, Alaska. Did you know the capital of Alaska is Juneau? And Juneau is named after a guy named Joe Juneau, who didn't do much more than dig a hole there. And he was a miner, dug a hole, didn't find a whole lot, eventually left. And since he was the first guy that was there, they kind of decided to name the place after him. The totem poles there are really beautiful, and they tell the story of a family. They're not something that you worship. It's something that's kind of a Ancestry.com for native Alaskans, and we had a good time talking with several of them as we continued our tour around the city. Juneau is landlocked. You can't drive a car into or out of Juneau. You can drive cars in Juneau, and I think from the southernmost point that you can go to the northernmost point is a little less than 50 miles. And then widthwise, it's very, very narrow, maybe 5 or 10 miles or so is all, but pretty amazing place. All right, so let's go on to the next one here and see what we got. Well, hello, how are you? It's cold in Zephyr Hills, Florida. Yes, it is. But the alligators are still active on the golf course right by the 8th hole tee-off area. Boy, I tell you, I got enough troubles on the golf course without having to worry about alligators. They're normally pretty docile. They don't move much. They'll get something to eat and then just kind of sit there for the next week or something like that. But we dealt with them when we were in Florida. I remember on Sanibel Island, there was a big one that was coming off a pond in the back, and we got out of the way pretty quick. But let's see, that's from John Meppelink. Thank you for sending along our alligator picture here. From Laura Ingalls in Hamilton, Michigan, we're looking at a picture submitted by Bernie. And as you can see, the sun is setting, it looks like, and you've got a couple different layers of clouds. If you look up toward the top of the picture there, you can see some high cirrus clouds and then some mid-level clouds going by. Pretty picture with the sun shining on through, many different colors in there, from the brighter whites where the sun is shining on the water droplets of the clouds, and that light is reflecting back down to Earth, to some of the darker clouds where the sun is blocking the light from coming through. By the way, about a third, even on the absolute darkest day, about a third of the sun's light comes through the clouds. And that would make sense because at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, it's not pitch black like midnight. Even in the middle of the darkest storm, there's still some light. I mean, you can see things. It's not like midnight. So that's kind of interesting. Okay, let's see what's next here. See what else we have here from John Scully. Oh, he's part of a group over in Muskegon, and they make peanut butter sandwiches and pass them out to the homeless people. And it's a great group, and they all get together and have a great time. It's really neat because it's a good bonding activity. You're having fun, and you're accomplishing something along the way. So hats off to all those people that work at the food pantries, feeding America and whatnot. There's just a lot of good that's being done. You know, I tell people that the 6 o'clock news is 4 things. It's crime, chaos, conflict, and catastrophe. The 4 C's, and that's what you hear. But there's a lot of compassion, the 5th C, that goes on in the world, and you just don't really know that that's there and it's going on. But we'll salute the peanut butter crowd over there in Muskegon and the good work they do in the port city. Thank you, John, for that picture. I think we are going to wrap things. Well, we got one more picture here from John Doherty. This is up north, and again, you can see the contrast between the darker clouds where the sun is not getting through and the brighter sections around them there. Looks like if that is a recent picture, it certainly looks like the snow has melted off there. As I mentioned, the snow melted off at the lakeshore pretty quickly here, even though some lakeshore areas had half a foot of snow or more. That disappeared pretty quickly here. Thanks, John. Okay, we'll go on to the next picture if we have one more here. No, we're back to me. Hey, I want to thank you so much for coming along with us today, and we'll see if we can pick up a few more Aurora pictures from people out here overnight tonight. And we will see you again tomorrow. Thanks so much for staying with us till the very end. Have a great day.